that day ring a bell? That was VE Day, the day the war ended in Europe. This one came off the production line. Thought it might go to the Pacific, so they put guns in it, parked it for a few months, the war was over. So it bounced around, and it was probably within a month or two of being turned into beer keys. Fortunately, the French government wanted to buy 3 B17s for high-level photography in Europe and Africa after the war. So it spent until the mid-80s doing high-level photography work. The good news is the French didn't work it very hard. So we have a very clean airframe here. A lot of the old bombers that survived the scrap heap were used for water bombing, firefighting, bug spraying, and they worked real hard. Real fortunate to have this really. It is painted as Thunderbird. It is not the original Thunderbird. In the Smithsonian Institute, there's a big mural in one of the Air Museum, a very big museum. On the far wall of our museum, we have a little mini copy of it. And it's showing a bomber train going into Europe and being led by Thunderbird. Thunderbird was a rather famous plane late in the war because it had 112 missions without a crewman being injured. We hope to continue that record today. That's what the bomb run is up on the top of it, indicating the 112 missions they had. Remember early in the war, the Memphis Belle became famous. Yeah. It became famous because it was one of the first bombers to make 25 missions and survive. Early in the war, the survival rate was they lost about 4% per mission. 25 missions at 4%, you almost had a 100% chance of not making. That's why Memphis Belle was such a big deal. Late in the war, because of the planes like B17 could get all the way into Germany and back, these planes were running 1,000-plane missions into Germany. Those of you probably had parents and grandparents talk about the ration stamps that were going on during the war, and a lot of youngsters today don't remember why we had ration stamps. This plane going into Germany and back would burn about 2,500 gallons of gasoline. 1,000 planes burns 2.5 million gallons. Every drop had to come from the United States. Each plane held 6,000 pounds of bombs. They hold 12 500-pound bombs. That's 6 million pounds per mission. Every pound had to come from the United States, come across the Atlantic. 3 days later, they'd do it again. And that doesn't count what the requirements were for the 500 fighters escorting. So it was a true, huge effort. Every one of these planes had a crew of 10 on board. About 5,000 to 6,000 of them didn't finish the war. That's a lot of people. Just as a data point, the 8th Air Corps flying out of England lost more people than the Marines during the whole war. It was a bloody time. They were a bigger generation. This plane was designed in 1935. Boeing wanted to have a freighter and maybe a passenger plane. As the war heated up in Europe, the Army Air Corps needed a bomber, so the story has it, I don't know if it's true, that 4 of Boeing's engineers sat in a hotel room in Washington, D.C. one weekend and converted their freighter into this bomber. It won the contract. During the war, they built 12,700 of these things. An amazing number. Today, there are 9 flying in the world. 1 in Europe, 8 in the U.S. Well, we hope you enjoy the experience. This is a rare but good bird. This plane's been flying for the museum since the early 90s. It's got a lot of time on it. Let me check my list here. We're still in good shape on time. General safety information. This is the FAA stuff. You know, if you get on a 767, they've got the TV screens. You don't even have to listen to the flight attendants anymore. I'm the flight attendant. No smoking in the aircraft or on the flight line. Right now this plane, this will hold 2,700 gallons of gasoline. We're flying it today with 600 gallons, so we're fairly light. The bomb load, we don't have 12 500-pounders, but we do have 6 bombs in it. They won't let me try them. I don't know if they work. It has 650 or 12 50 caliber machine guns. They won't let me try them either, so we'll go with it. No firearms on the aircraft or the fight line. They only let me frisk 2 or 3 feet. No, never mind. We've been told. We don't have any miners on board. I can skip that line. This is a good one. This plane flew yesterday, and we've actually mopped up the oil underneath it. These planes have been seeping oil. We don't have oil leaks. We have oil seeps. Seeps are legal. Leaks we have to fix. Any of you have ever ridden a Harley motorcycle? These leak like a Harley. The engines are designed with the round engines. These are what we call round engines. Cylinders, there's as many on the bottom as there is on the top. They're 9-cylinder engines. When you quit pumping oil through them, gravity works. And they go down to the bottom of the engine. They go into the cylinders. Any exhaust ports that are open, they run through. Then they drip down onto the ground. You would think after 68 years they would have designed a diaper that would fix it, but they don't. So that is why we wear this color clothes. This is oil-covered clothes here. Right now the plane is real dry. When you get back, there's 2 things I don't want you to do. One is don't walk through the prop arcs. The propellers, the engines are going to be hot. Those mixed cylinders, it's not common, but sometimes they will decide the air pressure changes as they cool, the prop will jump. We're required to have as many people leave as come, so please don't leave blood on the propeller. It's hard on the propeller. So just be real careful with the propeller. The other thing is that when we get back, I mentioned to some of you, this will be the only flight of the day on this plane, so we won't have to hurry. So if you don't get all the pictures you want beforehand, we can get them afterwards. But as you're walking under the wing, you will see oil. When the plane starts up, you'll see the blue bellowing out the back. That's how we tell if we're out of oil, if it quits seats. But it's just, they do it forever, and it's part of the flight experience. Okay, I'll speed up then. Getting in the plane. We're going to get in the back door, which is on the other side. As you look to the left, you'll be able to see where the tail wheel goes up, and you can see all the way back into where the tail gunner is. We don't want you going back there in flight. Most of us, if we get in back there, we won't be able to get out. The tail gunners are about this tall. So don't go back where you get in. It'd be very hard for you to do it. But look back there anyway. You can see where the tail gunners are. You'll turn right. The whole length of the plane is a rubber matting that we want you to stay on. It's hard not to stay on it, but we want you to stay on that. You'll come into the waist area. You'll see the waist guns on both sides. When you're in flight, we hope you'll get up and walk around the plane. As you're walking around the plane, don't go much farther back than the waist guns. Farther forward will get you all the way to the bombardier seat. You'll go on forward, you'll go through a door into the radio room. The radio room has 4 seats. We'll have 4 people sitting there, but don't worry about it. You're not going to be sitting in the same seat when you get back. You'll have 4 people sitting there. As you go on forward, you will go through another bulkhead door into the bomb bay. The bomb bay, you'll see the bombs on both sides. There's ropes to hold on to. The walkway is exactly 8 inches wide. You'll hold on to it and you'll walk like this. There's a V-brace to hold the bombs on one side. It's a V-brace. I think we'll all fit through it. I have to turn sideways and go through it like this. We haven't had anybody get stuck yet. If you lose your cell phone or something, we had one woman lose her shoe last summer and drop it down into the bomb bay. Tell me in flight, drop something in there. Because that bomb bay, we might not need it today, but that is our air conditioner when we land. So when they pull off the runway, if the inside of the plane is hot, they will open bomb bay, and whatever you drop, if you didn't tell me, is going to be down at the end of the runway. Actually, yeah, it'll be down at that end of the runway. So, so let me know. As you go on forward, you will step through and end up coming out underneath that top turret there. You'll be in the cockpit area. There's two small steps to get up. The easiest way to get through there is to, when you're close, lean over and grab the two pipes holding that gun up, and then bring your legs in behind you, pull them, whatever you have to do. I usually have to go like this to help pull, but you can get through there. At that point, there's 4 seats in the cockpit area. The pilot and the co-pilot, they don't share. The crew chief is me. I've got the one right behind the co-pilot. There is a passenger seat right behind the pilot. So we'll have somebody sitting there for takeoff and somebody for landing. From that point, there's 2 things you can do. You can stick your hand up in the gun up there and look backwards. If you do that, don't stay more than a minute or 2 because you're going to be blocking the flow of people. There's also, between the 2 pilot seats, there's a door that will be open. There's a step down about this deep. You can hold on to the back frame of the pilot seats to step down in there, and you will crawl on your hands and knees forward to get into the 2 seats up forward. There's a navigator seat and a bombardier seat. So whoever starts up there, don't you know, spend 5 minutes and then get out so other people can go up there. You'll have plenty of time to go around the plane. If you don't get all the pictures you want, we'll have time afterwards to do it. I'm forgetting, seat belts. These seat belts are not exactly what you've got in your Oldsmobile. These are World War II seat belts. They're 2 big things. A snap goes in and the lever pulls all the way over till it snaps to lock it in place. Then there's 2 things here to pull them tight. If you have problems with them, in the main compartment, Emily, wherever she is, over there, she'll be in the main, the radio room to help you. If you're down in the bombardier area, you're on your own. I'm not coming down to help you. You'll figure it out. For takeoff and landing, we want you to be in seats, in seat belts. Other than that, the plane will be, I think, taking off to the south today. When we do our first left turn out over the water, feel free to get up and start moving around the plane. When we come into land, there's a bell that you'll hear in the back of the plane. If you hear that, find a seat and sit down. If you're up in the front, there's no way you're going to hear a bell. So when the trees in the car start getting bigger, the landing gear comes down, figure it's time to get the seat and buckle in. In the nose compartment, we try not to have more than 2 or 3 people in there at a time. It's a little too much togetherness. So I sometimes try to keep track of how many people are up there, but sometimes I lose track because I have other duties. The emergency exits, that bubble right up on top is right over the navigator seat. That has red handles on them. You open them, pull it in, and you can leave that way. Working back, that hatch right by the engine, by the name Thunderbird there. In all the old World War II movies, that's where the pilots get on board. They hop up, they swing their legs in. You can do that if you're 25, you can't do it when you're 70. In between, you're on your own. In the radio room, there is a hatch, a glass window above where you can see out, look at the tail. That has red handles on it. Pull them in, and that's an escape hatch. Bomb bay, if it's available, make sure we're on the ground. You can use that. This front hatch, if the engines are running, do not use it. It's about that much clearance. If the engines are running and you exit the aircraft, always go back. Go toward the tail. If the engines are going, then make sure to be safe. I know I forgot something. Oh, when you're crawling forward on the walkway forward, you're going to notice by your left hand a hatch. That is that hatch. Once again, we're required to have the same number of people come back and leave. Don't jack it. Stay on the rubber and you'll be fine. Okay, I've covered that. General procedures, I've covered that. Are there any questions? I need 2 volunteers to start out in the front.
Dad.
Okay, who's the old? We got a 76. 76. Anybody beat that? Who's next in line? Anybody beat that?
That's not fair.
You're the navigator right behind you. There'll be plenty of time for everybody to sit there. Who wants to sit behind the pilot? We got flip a coin? Okay, go in that order. First, second, third, I'll go in first. Critical item. 99% of the passenger injuries on this flight are head bleeding. This plane was designed for people shorter than us and more nimble than us. Move slowly. Watch your head. I've been working on this plane 4.5 years and I got a gouge yesterday. I got in a hurry. So walk slowly, take your time. This plane is designed for people smaller than us and younger than us, so we'll go for it. As you board the plane, Emily will take your badge and give you earplugs and follow me.
Please remove your taxi.
Emily, let me sneak in.
Excuse me, folks.
Dad, have a good flight. Sorry. I think we got it. Gotta get the whole video in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, probably so.
I get the whole thing on one thing though, so I figure I'll keep it all together.
Make different videos. It's actually easier at uploading. Have some plans.
Is it?
Yes.